Hi friend, how are you? This is another day with you, dear friend, and I'm back wishing you good vibes. Now it's time to learn together how you can make your computer turn on into a visitor counter. It means it will count and record the number of visitors entering in your room. It may be applied either in the market, supermarket. It may be applied in the room. It may be applied in fuel station to record the number of people or things entering in any region. So now let's open up the door of knowledge and jump in to the working principle. The first is the sensor circuitry. The second is the Arduino board, which will allow you to communicate from the serial bus then to the LabView. It will enable us to read the data from the sensor and then compile in LabView. The third is LabView and the computer, which will allow us to load the data in a computer and save it to the text file. Text file will be created. So the last and only one is the text file, in which data will be stored for temporary and will be accessible to the next. For example, if any person goes to access or to read what is there, it means to see the amount or how many person enter in his region. The last three letters start by explaining all about the sensor circuitry. The sensor circuitry is made up of operational amplifier, as you see here, which is working as a operational amplifier comparator, where when the sensor detects any passage of person, we release the voltage to the non-inverting terminal and then give a logic high to the Arduino port. The Arduino port will access that readings and then give a count 1 to the LabView, and then say lastly LabView store that in text file. Then if you need to know more about the proximity sensor, go on the link in the description below and click on it to see the one that I used in making a touchless hand sanitizer dispenser. You will know more on how you can do it yourself without buying the one on the market. So let us continue with Arduino part. Right, this is the Arduino Uno, which we are going to be using. This is the Arduino IDE, integrated development environment, in which we will be coding Arduino, and this is the code that we will load to the Arduino and then start operating. First, this is the variable declaration, and then this is the code in void setup, where we set the code on which we set the pin on which the proximity sensor is hooked to, and then this is the serial begin, which will allow the serial communication between LabView and your Arduino IDE. This is the code from here up to here. This is the code that will allow you to avoid the debouncing of your proximity sensor, and will prevent to continue incrementing the count, as well as the person is still standing between the door, or if a person is still standing in the door. If you don't include this code in your Arduino, it will continue counting. So to avoid this, we put this line of code, and then after incrementing, if the condition is true, it means if the sensor senses something around, it will increment the count, and then change the count status to 1. So without delaying, let's try to load the code to the Arduino. You see that we uploaded the code to the Arduino, and once it is done loading, let us jump to another step of coding in LabView. Now, hoping that you already have LabView installed in your computer, let's start with blank VI and start doing our stuffs together. Wait a little bit, and then click Ctrl+T to tile left and right. Hit Ctrl+T to tile left and right and start coding. So we will first include the while loop, which will allow us to iterate our process of recording our data through the iteration. Then I hope that you have your VISA function in your computer activated, and then we start by ensuring the communication between our Arduino board and the LabView, passing through instrument IO, then serial. Pin this to tab, pull it upward, and then choose configure port, which will give us the ability to set and choose the port through which you are reading our Arduino. And then we are going to read something from our Arduino, which will be recorded later in text file. Then close. Then you link VISA resource name out to the VISA resource name till to close. Link downward. And then here you create a byte count, which will define how many number of bits we will be needing. So by default let us set 10 there, and then the output will be taken from there to read buffer. And then we are going to create the pathway through which we will be writing the readings on our text file. Open text file. Then we are going to write on our text file Then after you close your text file, link refnum out to the refnum out, and then link error out to error in, and then connect our read buffer. Before doing that, we should make sure that our system will be recording the number of people in string, of course, but also we will need to add something like date to ensure that a person will make assessment and see how much people or what frequency did the people enter in my area or in my room. So we need to include the date to specify to have a specific data. So by continuing, let us bring things like indicator. Come here and then create an indicator, so that if the user needs to access the real-time data, we will be able to access it. And then this data will be the readings of increment. It means from 0, 1 up to the number of visitors entering in the house. As you saw in our Arduino code, you find that there was an iteration which will allow us the person or visitors incrementation as the people are passing through that area. The sensor will be beside the door, and then we are going to write. We are going to write on the file the number of people, but also with the date. That's why we will come and include the date. It means we will bring second time to date. This function gives you the time and the date. It means from second to a year. From second to a year, and then that time will be need to be converted into string so that we will be able to load it into our text file so that we will access it later or will be saved for future use. Then to separate that, you come here in cluster and click on unbundle. Then if you connect this, you will see that it will give you the second, minutes, hour, day of the month, and year. For us, we will be needing 3 of them, which is day for displaying the date, and a month for displaying the month on which you are recording your data. And then after, we will also need to access the year. First, these days, if we try to create a constant there, if we try to create an indicator there, you will find that it gives the data type of an integer. So to record it, you need to convert it first into a string. You come and go to string, then come to number string conversion, then you come here to number to decimal string and you brought it here. Let us select it clearly and push it backward. And the out here will be a decimal string. Control T, hold the control and move the cursor down to duplicate. And for us, we won't need all about the second. We will start by the day of the year, which will enable us to display the date. So we will come here to day of the month and connect it here. Then a year. Alright, you see that this will allow us to get the precise time. It means the date, the month, and the year, and then we concatenate it with the readings from the Arduino, and then save it to the file. If we try to concatenate all what will happen, we will come here and bring this icon called string concatenator. Because we will have multiple output, we are going to left click here, then add input. This will give us an option to extend the number of input. Add input. See, for first time we will write the day of the month, means the date. Then here you create a constant and you write a backslash to to respect the standard of writing the date. Sorry. Then you come here and connect it. Select this, hold control and click control and hold to duplicate this. Enter. It means for us we need it too. Then you connect your month here. Connect the backslash. Sorry. Then connect your, sorry, let us delete this backslash, it is no longer needed. Then connect your year here. It means we will be reading months, date and year in standard form. Then what is obtained will be concatenated again to the readings from the Arduino port. It means the number of people passing, and then with the date on which that person visit that area or visit any place. It means this will help us to determine the frequency for which the person visits any area. Bring again the string concatenator, place it here, add input to increase its input. Then first we will be reading the number of visitors. Then here we create a constant. Then we call our string, we call this a visitors, right? Visitors, to specify the number which you are reading that they are the visitors. Then here we create another constant, then we put it an enter, so that the next line will be printed below the first line, and then we fade it. The next line we fade on the time. I think we are almost to finish. What remains is to set up the area which will allow us to select the port through which we will read our data from Arduino. Here you create a control, this which will help us to access the Arduino, the readings through the serial, and then you create a control which will help us to access the pathway through which we will access and write to our text file. Backing to our front panel, it is like an interface which will allow us to communicate with computer. It means the user and the computer. After you will link all the readings and then write. After concatenating all of this, will be of course written and recorded to our text file. Then let us back to our front panel. We forget to create a control to our loop so that it will be stopped as required. Create a control. This will be stopped as required. Then after, what's remain is to make our interface very clear. Select this control plus to zoom in. Increase. Rename this and move from read the buffer and code this number of visitors. Okay. I think you are going to give me a couple of time and do the same to all of these icons. We'll be back doing the decoration of our interface. Now you find that I finish enlarging my icons on front panel, but still they are telling me that there is a problem. Let me check it. See that they are telling me that the concatenate strings contain unwired or bad terminal. What you will do, you will come here and check where the error is. This is the remaining unwired terminal. You will come here, double click and then remove the input. You see that it will allow me to run as if I finish setting up my hardware. What I'm going to do is to make the decoration. Come here so that I will have a good and clear interface. For example, you bring this here. You fill this with this box and then you should change its color by coming to view, then tool palette. You select the color you wish. For example, let's pick blue. Fill it in and then make the second one. Press the turn off the color. Come here, right click, then decoration. I choose a vertical smooth box. I fill it here. Sorry. Then I change its color. For example, let's make it red, for example. See that all decoration I did, it covered up all the icons. Here you click and you select this block which cover my icons, and you click Ctrl+Shift+J to move it to back. Same to this, you click Ctrl+Shift+J to move to back, or you simply come here, click and then move to back. You see that it is done. So I should also cover this, all of this up with another color to have a fantastic look. For example, I cover this like this. Then I change it, for example, to yellow. I select this, Ctrl+Shift+J, and then move to back, and you enjoy your good interface. For example, here I write things. Let me increase the size. Let me increase the size, for example, to 24, and then write my message calling this device a visitor. Visitor counter. Sorry, my IC has problems. Right, and then I should drag this title over here. Should change also its size. For example, I put it to 36. Have a good look. Now you see we finish all required to run our program. Let me pause my video and setting up my hardware so that you may start running all of this. Then stay in touch. And right, now I finished setting up my hardware, and let me start by the operation. First, I open up the text file through which I will save my data. Open text file, new, then text file, and let me call it a name of K2KI Tech. That file will be filled in selection path through which we will select on our LabView. It means, remember the time we open the LabView, it shows us the feed through which we will choose a file. But first, let us select the port on which Arduino is connected. Remember, when we was loading data on Arduino, the board shows us that it was connected on COM22. But first, let us test whether our sensor is working correctly. Let me first open up my camera, adjust it very well so that you will be able to get all on my camera. You see that all my hardware is set there. Zoom it, see the cover, or right, that is the hardware. That is the circuit that will enable me to detect the passing. This is Arduino board, and the output of sensor was connected to digital pin 8. So next, I will use my breadboard as an obstacle which I will detect. It will of course come in place of a person who is passing or an obstacle. Access the serial monitor and try to bring back my camera. Let me adjust so that you may see all around there. Put this aside, and then we will be able to read on serial monitor. See, when obstacle come, it count 1. That it is in the presence of a person entering in the room or in the house. Second, third, you see that as long as the person stands in the door, There will be no count until he enter inside the door. Then I count 3. Right. Let me come back to the LabView so that I will be able to load that data in that text file. Remember the text file that we created before and it was saved on desktop. Then first select the port on which you are reading our Arduino, which is COM22. Select the pathway and the file which was created on the desktop. It means we find it there on the desktop. Arduino will read the data and transfer it to the file saved on the desktop called K2KITH. And then bring back my camera. Let me zoom it a little bit. And hit run to start recording my count. My camera goes away. Let me bring it back. And then you see, as the obstacle pass, there is the recording of data. Now let us try to access our data which was stored in text file for future use. It means we are going to examine the frequency by which our shop or any area was visited. You see that the data were recorded. For example, on this day 25 February 2021 we have 11 visitors. So if you get well and be happy of this, make sure you hit subscribe and give a hand to share to your neighbor. It will get me satisfied. My name is Alex Sera here, and the channel was K2K YouTube channel, which is there just for the motto with everyone is able to learn. Stay in touch. We are still together.